invited 5 friends over. One too many arrived. The house is burning. Only 2 of us made it out. There were 6 at the start of the evening. 7, I suppose. That was the entire problem. I don't know when the 7th arrived. Dina and Angelo showed up first, while I was still putting out snacks. It must not have been there before them. I recall them being the first. It can't hide in nothing. Kay showed up next. I know she was alone, because I've been trying to figure out the right time to ask her out. If she'd brought someone, I definitely would have noticed. When Christoph and Marina got here, Angelo called out, "It's about time you two made it." He specified 2. I remember that. That's 5 arrivals, and of course I was there all along. Maybe the door was opened at some other point. It might not matter now that it's all over. I feel like it does, though. I need to understand what happened. I owe it to my friends. We were playing cards when we noticed. It was a 6-handed game, and Angelo was dealing piles in front of each player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th to himself. "You've got too many piles," Dina said. Angelo looked at the table in confusion. There were cards in front of each of us. There were 7 separate stacks. "Weird. I don't know what happened there," he said, gathering up the cards. He dealt them out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 to each person, but he had not yet put a card in front of himself. With a nervous chuckle, Angelo said, "Okay, what am I doing wrong? 6 of us, yes?" We all agreed. There were clearly 6. "Everyone put your hand on your card," he said. All 6 cards were covered. Angelo still did not have one. "All right, one more try," said Angelo. "While you're sorting this out, I'm going to go to the bathroom," said Kay, standing up. She left the room. Angelo dealt the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th to himself. "Kay, how many people are you?" he shouted. "Very funny," she called back. We heard the bathroom door close. "Just deal 6 hands," I told Angelo. "There are 6 of us. It'll work out. Everyone will pick one hand up and play it, and no one will be left out." "You'd really think so," he said. "But why was I getting to 7 before?" "You're bad at math," Dina told him. "Better not let you keep the score," Christoph chimed in. Kay's chair was scooted back up to the table. Angelo dealt the cards. There were 6 hands this time. Everyone picked one up. No one was left out. "Weird," said Angelo, shaking his head. Despite the rocky start, the game went well. Christoph won, so as punishment we sent him to the kitchen to fetch more drinks. Just after he disappeared into the other room, I heard a startling noise, a sort of quick choking gasp, followed by a loud bang. I was just getting up to see if he was all right when the wine was brought to the table, and I busied myself pouring everyone a fresh glass instead. I noticed that Kay's glass was still untouched from earlier. "Hey, where's Kay?" I asked. "She went to the bathroom," said Dina. "What, again?" "I guess." I leaned my head around the corner to see down the hallway. The bathroom door was closed. I supposed Marina was right. "Shall we deal another hand?" I asked. "As soon as Christoph gets back," said Marina. I looked around. Christoph wasn't here. Where did he go? "The kitchen," said Marina. "The wine didn't bring itself in here," I pointed out. "And all 5 of the new glasses have been moved." Marina gasped. "Are you suggesting that someone is drinking Christoph's wine?" We all laughed. I did wonder where Christoph was, though. And Kay, for that matter. She'd been in the bathroom for a very long time. She couldn't have been, though. We'd played the game 6-handed. She must have been here. Maybe she just wasn't drinking. "Quick round of spades while we're waiting for those 2 to get back?" asked Angelo, dealing out the cards. "You've dealt 5 hands," Dina pointed out. Angelo slammed the cards down on the table. "Okay, something is going on here. Everyone, hold hands." We all looked at him quizzically, but he was serious. We reached out and took each other's hands, forming a circle around the table. "Now, in order, everyone say the name of the person to your left." My name was said. I looked left and said, "Marina." "Dina." "Angelo." And I'm next to Scott, Angelo said, nodding at me. Wait, I objected. My name was already said. Let's go to the right, he said. Angelo's name was said. He followed it with Dina, Marina, Scott, and Angelo, I said. No, I was named first, he said. We looked at each other. I could feel his hand in mine. I could see him next to me. Look at the table, Angelo said. Why is there an extra glass of wine in between us? Let's take a photo, said Marina. Then we can see everyone at once. She put her phone on the table. We all backed up, put our arms around each other, and smiled. The photo snapped. We gathered back around the table to look. It's you, me, you, and you, said Marina, pointing. 4 of us, no one else. Angelo studied it for a moment. It's not a selfie. Who took the picture? Christoph, said Marina. Kay, I said in the same moment. We all looked around the room. Neither one of them was here. He must still be in the kitchen, said Marina. I'll go see. I think we should all go together, said Angelo. Come on. We entered the kitchen as a group. It was empty. Do you smell gas? Asked Dina. My attention snapped to the stove. 2 of the knobs for the burners were snapped off. I spotted them tucked under the cabinets nearby, as if someone had pushed them out of the way so as not to be noticed. There was a dent in the metal of the edge, too. Christoph must have dropped something on the stove, I said, heading over to see about turning off the gas. Nice of him to mention it. The knobs were broken too far down to turn. The gas was starting to give me a headache. I grabbed a hold of the stove to pull it out from the wall and shut off the line behind it, but it was surprisingly heavy. Did I leave something in here? I asked, opening the oven door. Christoph's body was crammed grotesquely inside the oven. His limbs had been broken violently, deliberately, then folded and jammed into the tight metal cavity like he was nothing more than a sack of meat. One arm was twisted behind his back at an impossible angle, the bone protruding through shredded flesh. His legs, snapped at the knees, were bent backward and stuffed under his chest, toes pressed against his own chin. A dense, congealing pool of blood filled the bottom of the oven, dark and viscous, splashing rhythmically with every tremble of my hands against the appliance. The stench was nauseating, copper and burnt meat and something else, something rotting. Most of the blood seemed to come from his head, which had been brutally caved in. The skull was fractured open like an overripe melon, exposing a pulpy mix of gray brain and splintered bone. His mouth hung slack, lips torn, and both of his eyes bulged so far out of their sockets it looked like they might pop. One had already ruptured, dribbling a pale, sticky fluid down his cheek. His eyes bulged outward grotesquely, the whites veined and glossy, locked in a glassy, lifeless stare that seemed to scream louder than I ever could. Bits of brain matter and shards of bone clung to the metal interior, as if the oven had tried to cook him and failed. I screamed. Of course I did. We all did. It was primal, guttural, like the scream ripped through my lungs on its own, without permission. I stumbled back, half slipping in something slick on the floor, trying to turn to run, to find a weapon, to claw the image out of my brain. That's when Dina died. It wasn't dramatic, not the way movies sell you death. No thunderclap, no final scream trailing into silence. Just a sickening halt, like someone had pressed pause on her existence, then hit delete. One moment, she was still standing there, eyes wide, mouth open, a tremble in her jaw as she tried to form a sentence. And then pop. A sharp, wet sound. Her throat burst open from the inside, a vertical slit tearing through skin, sinew, and cartilage. No weapon, no hand. Just spontaneous, impossible violation, her body folding in on itself like a bad idea collapsing under pressure. The cut opened wide, like a second mouth yawning below her jaw. Blood fountained from it in thick pulses, splattering against her collarbone, pouring down her front in sheets of red. Her hands shot to her neck, pressing in vain against the gaping wound, but her fingers slipped, smeared and helpless. She gurgled something, or tried to. It sounded like a child gargling glass, and she sank to her knees. I thought she'd collapse forward, but no. Her hair lifted, not floated, lifted, yanked upward by some unseen force, strands snapping taut like marionette strings. Her head jerked back so hard I heard her spine crack, vertebrae popping one by one until her body was arched unnaturally, like she was offering her torn throat to the ceiling. Her mouth moved, and blood spilled over her lips with every twitch. Her eyes locked onto mine, empty now, wide and glassy, but conscious. Still there, somehow, watching me, pleading, hating, asking why. Then her body twitched once, twice, and stopped. Her corpse dangled for a moment, knees on the floor, head in the air, arms limp, before slumping forward in a pool of her own heat. Her blood was everywhere now. It soaked the floor. It ran between the tiles. It crept toward me, and I backed up like a coward. That's when Marina snapped out of it. She screamed, yes, but it wasn't mindless. It was urgent, desperate. She turned toward the front door and bolted. Run, she shouted. We have to go now. Come on. She grabbed the handle and yanked it open. I saw daylight, just a crack, and then the door slammed shut. Not on its own. It clamped shut like a bear trap, right on both her arms. Crack, the sound of bones breaking. She let out a scream that didn't sound human, pure, unfiltered agony. Her body whipped backward from the force, but her arms were pinned, crushed between the door and the frame. Then the floor beneath her split open. Not slowly, instantly. The wood beneath her feet disappeared. 1 second she was standing, the next her legs dropped down through a yawning, jagged mouth in the floor, like the house itself had bitten her in half. Her torso was above ground, writhing, screaming, hands trapped in the door, while her legs dangled below into the basement. She screamed again, louder, more ragged. Her head snapped toward us, mouth wide, eyes screaming, help me, help me, help me. We ran. We grabbed her torso, both of us pulling hard enough to rip skin if it meant saving her. Her screams cut off, just like that. Dead silence. I remember blinking and thinking, no, 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 not again. But I didn't stop pulling. Then we noticed her body was lighter, too light, and something was wet. We looked down and realized why she was gone. Everything from her stomach downward had been eaten, not chewed, dissolved. Her spine was severed halfway. Her organs had collapsed inward like rotten fruit. Her insides were missing, gone, smooth, clean, like whatever was under that floor had drunk her. Her bones, gone too. Only her top half remained, skin pallid, arms broken, blood pouring in sticky ropes onto the floor. We pulled her out anyway. Her body made a wet sound against the wood, like tearing off duct tape from raw skin. When we finally got her free and laid her down, her face was still twisted in the shape of that last scream. The silence that followed was not silence. The house or something in the house was breathing. You could feel it. I turned to Angelo. He was pale. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Then he grabbed a chair and charged at the nearest window. Before he could swing it, the glass imploded, shards exploding inward like bullets. It was like something had punched through from the other side of reality. Splinters of glass embedded into his face, neck, chest. He reeled backward, howling in agony. One long curved shard was jutting from his right eye socket. Blood gushed from the wound, the sound of it hitting the floor like hot rain. And then Angelo started laughing. Low, hysterical. He was propped up in the corner of the room like a mannequin, except his skin had been peeled away from his face. Not all at once, no. In strips. Long curling ribbons of flesh had been flayed off his cheeks, his forehead, his chin. His eyelids were gone, his eyes wide and dry and aware. He had been alive for it. That much I knew. Pinned to the wall around him were the strips of his face, arranged like a collage. I wanted to vomit, but there was nothing left in me. Just dry heaves and the rising taste of bile. The lights flickered. He staggered toward me, one hand stretched out, but I didn't move. I couldn't. His throat pulsed red, his lips mouthing something, maybe my name, before a final twitch took him. He collapsed onto the table, knocking over the cards. Somewhere behind me, wood groaned like it was being bent. A low hum vibrated in the walls, almost like chanting, but in reverse, words being unspoken. That's when I ran. I sprinted to the kitchen. The gas, the smell hit me full force now, thick and dizzying, and I realized it wasn't just from the stove. The whole house was breathing it. It had filled the walls. It was in the vents. It was seeping into our skin. I turned to find Kay. Maybe she wasn't number I found her, in the bathroom. The door creaked open with a whimper. The light above flickered once, twice, then stayed dim, just enough to see the horror waiting inside. She was on the floor, sprawled, twisted, a broken shape painted in red. The hand shower was tangled tight around her neck, the cord pulled so violently it had cut into the skin. Her head was tilted to the side, resting awkwardly against the blood-slicked tiles, like she'd tried to fight and didn't make it. She hung from the shower rod, crucified. Her veins had been opened, clean lines carved down her arms and legs, surgical and cruel, the glass that did it still glinting beside her like an accomplice. Her mouth was sewn shut, not with thread, with hair, her own hair, knotted, twisted, pulled through the skin with sadistic precision. Her lips were puckered and tight, locked in a silent scream she'd never get to finish. And in her lap, sitting there like a sick offering, was her tongue, fat, purple, severed at the root. She'd been disemboweled. Her stomach ripped wide open like something had crawled out of her. Intestines spilled across the bathroom floor, coiled and wet, steam rising from the mess. Her insides weren't just taken. They were arranged, like someone had wanted to make art out of suffering. Her eyes were open, not gone, just empty. The light in them had gone out long before I got there. Then her body twitched, once, just a flicker. I don't remember turning. Just running, back to the kitchen, back to the gas. I grabbed Angelo's lighter from the counter. The air was thick, humming now, alive. The shadows shifted on their own. The walls breathed louder, louder. I could hear the house thinking, laughing. Behind me, something whispered my name. I turned and saw it, not a monster, not even a shape, just a smear of wrongness in the air, like heat waves on black paper. It was there, but my mind couldn't hold on to it. Looking at it made my brain fold in on itself. I backed away slowly, lighter in hand. Then I ran for the back door. I heard it move behind me. Not footsteps, something faster, like the sound of something running on all fours. I turned the knob. It was stuck. I screamed, slammed my shoulder into it. Nothing. I struck the lighter. Once, nothing. Twice. Spark. The world became fire. The gas ignited behind me in a thunderclap of heat and fury. I felt the blast lift me off my feet, the flames chasing me like a living thing. I hit the ground outside hard, rolling into wet grass, my lungs half collapsed, the world spinning. I lay there watching the house burn. Windows blew out in fireballs, the roof collapsed in. Screams echoed from inside, not human anymore. Something else, something still in there. And then silence. I don't know what I'll tell the police. I don't even know if I'll speak again. They'll find the bodies, or what's left. 5 friends went in. 1 came out. But I'm not alone out here. My hand is held tightly as I watch the house burn. She found her way into my home. Please, I don't know what to do. I've tried to tell my wife about this, but she's a science teacher, and thanks to my history of practical jokes, she thinks I'm just kidding. There is something stalking me. I don't know what it wants, but almost every night since I started seeing it, it has terrorized me. It doesn't touch me. It doesn't communicate in any sort of way. It just fills me with horror. If what I seem to ramble, please forgive me. I haven't slept in several days. We live in the second floor of a duplex with stairs down the back of the house to the basement where the laundry machines are. There's a door at the bottom of the stairs before the door to the basement that looks out onto our back porch and into the backyard. 6 days ago, I was going down to the basement to bring up some laundry, and I glanced out the door as I passed. There was a figure standing at the far edge of our yard. Her back was to me, and she was just standing there, looking into the woods beyond our yard. She was dressed in nothing but a light gown. It had lots of flowing material coming off of it that was whipping around in the air slowly. The whole scene creeped me out instantly, but I thought she might be a friend of our downstairs neighbor, so I continued to the basement. When I came back up, she wasn't there. The next night, I went down again, and as I passed the back door, I looked outside. The woman was back. She was exactly like she was the night before, facing away, not moving. The hair on my arms and neck stood up straight when I saw her. I was even more creeped out when I realized she was in the same clothes as the night before, but this time her limbs dangled with the movement of air. That's when I did something I shouldn't have. I opened the back door. Leaning out, I called to her to see if she was okay. She didn't respond. She didn't make any sort of indication that she'd heard me. It was freezing cold, so I shut the door and locked it. Coming back upstairs afterwards, I looked out the window and she was gone again. Later that same night, I was in the bedroom, getting ready to go to sleep. Everything was dark, because my wife had gone to bed before me. Our bedroom looks out over the backyard, and my side of the bed faces the windows, so I have to go past it to get in. As I was doing so, I suddenly got that same deep, dreadful feeling in my stomach that I had gotten the first time I saw the figure in the backyard. Something compelled me to hesitate by the windows. My hands were shaking as I pulled the curtain back a bit and peeked through the shades into the backyard. It was a clear night, so the backyard wasn't shrouded in darkness. The woman was standing in the middle of the backyard, no longer at the edge of the woods, facing the house with her head tilted up to look directly at the window I was peeking from. I jerked away instantly, afraid she had seen me. Her face was covered in shadow and hair, but I saw her mouth, chin, and nose, a sharp nose and a thin chin. Her lips stretched into an unnervingly long grin, curling at the edges, as if her mouth extended far beyond what should be humanly possible, reaching almost her cheeks. Gray. Her skin looks gray, I think. Her hair, black and long. I was so scared, I jumped into bed and covered myself with the covers. The next day, I played outside in the snow with my 4-year-old daughter. She wanted me to pull her on her sledge in the backyard, but just the thought of going back there made me scared again, so I talked her into digging holes in the snow in the front yard. That night, things went from bad to worse. Somehow, I had managed to forget about the woman. Then, in the middle of the night, my daughter started crying. Our bedroom is just across the hall from hers. I thought she might need to use the bathroom, or just be having a bad dream, so I went into her room to see if she was okay. She was uncovered, curled into a ball on her mattress. I pulled her covers over her, and that's when she whispered to me, "Daddy, there's someone in my closet." Instant goosebumps. I turned my head slowly toward the closet door at the end of her bed. Normally, the closet is shut, but now it was open. The woman was slouching in my daughter's closet, forcing her body to fit right in. She had the same grin, but this time she was drooling. Not even when it was clear that I saw her did she move or make a sound, just stood there and looked at me through the cracked open door. My blood ran cold when I saw her. "Get up," I told my daughter. "Get in my arms, quickly, quickly." She scrambled up and hugged me tightly, and I walked backward out of the room, watching the closet the entire time. In my mind, I imagined her throwing the closet door open and running at us, arms outstretched. I just hugged my daughter and walked backward into my room. The woman never appeared in the doorway. I heard no movement from my daughter's room. I tucked her into my bed and stood there watching the doorway to her bedroom. I did not go back in. I just stood there and watched and listened. When I finally got the courage to climb into bed, I didn't sleep. Sunday, I told my wife everything. I told her about the first time I saw this woman. I told her about calling out to her and seeing her from the window. I told her that she had appeared in our daughter's closet. She told me it wasn't funny, that it was my fault for our daughter's bad dreams, and that I shouldn't encourage her to be afraid of her closet. Sunday night, my daughter called me from her room again. Call me a coward, but I couldn't go back into that room. I called her quietly to come get in our bed, but she cried and said she was scared. I wanted to go and get her, but I was scared too. I told her to pull her blankets up and cover herself. Just cover yourself, honey, and you'll be okay. I prayed that it was true. I lay there, peeking over the sleeping form of my wife and out into the hallway at the closed door of my daughter's room, and just kept praying. I heard her cry a while longer, then she went quiet, and I hoped that she was asleep. Monday, I piled toys in front of the door to her closet. By that time, there was no doubt in my mind that this was some sort of ghost or apparition, but I piled things in front of the closet anyway, like a pile of toys could stop a ghost. Monday night, my daughter did not cry, but I didn't sleep. I lay there, looking at the ceiling, tense. Around 2 o'clock, I heard her bedroom door creak open, and I knew something was wrong. She must be scared, I thought, so I called to her like before. Just come to me, and you can sleep in our bed, sweetie. But she didn't come. I peeked over my wife, towards the open hallway. The woman was standing there in the doorway to my daughter's room. Her arms hung at her sides, her shoulders slouched down. Her gown was dirty, like it hadn't been washed in years, and hung off her torn rags. I wasn't breathing. I wasn't blinking. I just looked at her, and she looked at me, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to die. She never moved, never made a sound. I whispered, please go away. Please leave me alone. Please, I'm sorry. I couldn't look away. If I look away, she will get closer. I was sure of it. If I close my eyes, when I open them, she'll be standing over me, looking at me. At some point, she was gone. It's like I fell asleep with my eyes open. I don't remember her disappearing, just that I was looking at the doorway, and she wasn't there anymore. Last night, I lay awake, waiting. I asked my wife to shut our bedroom door because the nightlight in the hallway was keeping me awake. It was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. Like clockwork, I heard my daughter's bedroom door creak open. My breath caught in my throat. The soft shuffle of bare feet dragged along the floorboards, slow and deliberate. The sound of something wet, sticking, peeling with each step. My body locked in place, every nerve screaming at me to run, but I couldn't move. The door to our bedroom opened. A thick, rotting stench poured into the room, sweet, sickly, festering. My fingers clenched the covers. My heartbeat thumped in my skull, loud enough that I thought she could hear it, and then I felt it. A breath, hot and damp, seeping through the sheets. The fabric pressed inward, just inches from my face. Something dripped onto my shoulder thick, lukewarm. The smell of iron filled my nostrils. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. The covers shifted, not yanked away, peeled, slow and torturous, like flesh from bone. I clenched my eyes shut. Don't look. Don't look. If I look, I'll see her. A sharp, wet rasp like meat dragging over jagged teeth cut through the silence. The whisper came next, so close to my ear it felt like something wriggled inside it. I knew I had to come looking for you. My body convulsed, my stomach twisted into knots, but I couldn't scream. A hand ice cold and clammy slid over my chest, fingers stretching too long, digging into my ribs. They pressed, 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 until I heard a sickening pop. I gasped in pain, and then I made the worst mistake of my life. I opened my eyes. The woman loomed over me, face inches from mine. What I saw wasn't a face at all. It was a gaping, rotted wound where her mouth should have been, curling open like the petals of a blackened flower. No lips, just torn flesh, raw gums, and jagged, broken teeth. Strings of saliva and something darker dripped from her exposed jaw. Her eyes were gone. Just deep, pulsating holes, writhing with movement. Something inside them squirmed, pushing against the surface, pressing outward as if trying to escape. I tried to scream. A hand shot up, fingers forcing their way into my mouth, stretching my jaw impossibly wide. My bones creaked. I felt my skin splitting. You let me in. The last thing I saw before the darkness swallowed me whole was her gaping maw, splitting even wider, a writhing void filled with movement, something hungry. I never woke up. Or maybe I did. But if this is real, then why am I still in bed? Why does my wife